How long does it take to fill a private practice with patients? Hi there, I'm Alysha and I'm a Psych NP and I own my own private practice and I teach other Psych NPs how to find freedom and balance by opening their own private practices as well. So today we're going to talk about the frequently asked question that I get all the time about how long will it take me to fill my practice? And the reality is that it depends, which I could not stand that answer when I would get it when I was new to private practice, because I was like, but what's the answer? So let me give you a couple of scenarios. So I'll start with my own private practice. So my goal starting out was always going to be to see patients 2 to 3 days a week and then do some teaching. I thought that I would teach for a university, which I did for a period of time, both undergrad and graduate. But later on, that turned into what you're seeing right now: YouTube, Instagram, online courses on private practice startup. If you're interested in something like that, you can check out the link down below, and that will explain all about my mentorship program. So, with wanting to fill 2 to 3 clinical days per week with the plan to work part-time clinical, part-time teaching, from the time that I opened my cash practice to having that was about a year. And I believe the number of patients that I was seeing was about 60-ish, somewhere between 50 and 75 at that time. And that was really a sweet spot for me. I have long patient visits and I have my practice set up where, because I am a cash-based practice, I'm able to have longer visits and less patients in a day than you may expect. So that's why my number of patients may be smaller than someone else's number of patients. I have another mentee who is a private practice owner for an insurance-based practice. Same thing, took her about a year to have a full patient load, which was about 4 days a week. And I believe she was somewhere around 150 patients. But these are just a few case studies, and these are just numbers based on what I've seen most commonly in my mentees. Granted, I have now mentored about 200 Psych NPs in starting new private practices, so I have a pretty good idea of what's out there. But let me give you some information on how you can be empowered to calculate this yourself. So I want you to think about how much money you may want to have coming home pre-tax. From there, I want you to subtract about $2,000 to $5,000 a month. And that's because that's both going to be going into your business savings as well as going towards your overhead costs. Most Psych NPs that I mentor are having about $1,000 to $2,000 in ongoing costs per month, and that's everywhere from the cost of their EMR monthly to their physician collaborator monthly, etc. So just things that you have to have going out of your business just to stay operational. And then let's say you want to make $10K per month. So let's just go on the high end. So say you're wanting to bring in $15,000 a month to your private practice because you have about $2,000 a month in costs. You want to save $3,000 a month in business savings just to continue to build your business savings because you're a brand new business and you want to have an emergency fund. And then you want $10K going to income after that pre-tax. Then I'm going to do a little math here. So let's just go based off of the average follow-up being $100. I know, let's go on the low end. That's probably the average of some insurances that I've heard out there. I know that cash usually are charging more, but let's just go with it. Easy peasy, 100 per visit. So that would mean to make $15,000 a month, you would need to be seeing 150 patient visits per month. And that breaks down to about 37.5 visits per week. And let's say you're working full-time 5 days a week. That's about 7.5 patients per day, 5 days a week. So that means you could condense that and you could see, like, instead of 7.5 patients over 5 days, you could have a few days where you see 16 patients, and then you have an extra day off, etc. And so if you follow the logic that a lot of your patients in the beginning will be seen monthly, it's pretty safe to say about 150 patients is around what someone might have to have like a full-time practice, making $10K a month pre-tax. However, it is important to note that over time, patient visits will be spread out more and more, right? As they get stable on their medication, you might see them every 2 months, every 90 days, maybe a little bit more than that, depending on the patient. And so over time, you're probably going to have this slower influx of new patients over time. So it won't be like all of these patients are new like it was before, but as patient visits start to spread out more and more, those intakes will replace them, etc. So yes, this is not an exact science, and that's why I give you the numbers so that you can kind of go, oh, okay, I could see myself doing that. But I think it is also important to consider cash versus insurance. I think having 150 patients within a year at an insurance-based practice is perfectly reasonable. I think a cash-based practice, it's probably not going to happen that fast for 150 patients. However, most cash rates are higher than that. And there's some insurance rates that are higher than that. So I was going on the low end, so just know that. But that's why I was able to have closer to 60 to 75 patients at my, full 2 days a week, is because A, cash rates, and B, I was only seeing patients 2 to 3 days a week. And so right now how my practice is, I have about 100 patients and I see patients about 2 days a week, maybe 2.5 days. And that's good for me because again, I am really enjoying the mentorship work that I'm doing with all of you. And so again, if you're interested, feel free to click the link below and learn more about my mentorship program. But for now, I hope that information was helpful, and please comment any questions you have below. And if this has been a helpful video and you like this content, please subscribe and like this video. It really helps my channel to be able to continue to go on. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for listening.